August 22nd. 1138, Battle of North Allerton, in England, and defeat of the Irish under King David. 1280, Nicholas III, Pope, died. His reign is noted for a missionary expedition to Tartary. 1357, Isabella, Queen of England, died in prison, where she had been confined 28 years. 1485, Battle of Bosworth Field, in which the forces of Richard III were defeated and himself killed. The forces of Richard exceeded 16,000, while those of Richmond did not amount to 5,000. The battle lasted little more than 2 hours, and was determined by the defection of Stanley. He is the only English king since the conquest who fell in battle, and the second who fought in his crown. 1540, Burial of William BudÃ, a learned French critic and commentator, styled by Erasmus Portentum GalliÃ the prodigy of France. 1567, Captain Gorges sailed from Bordeaux to dislodge the Spaniards in Florida. See May 3, 1568. 1567, Murray proclaimed Regent of Scotland. 1572, Thomas Percy, Earl of Northumberland, beheaded at York. 1613, Dominique Baudius died, advocate of the Parliament of Paris, and author of some Latin poems. 1615, Arthur Aggard, a learned English antiquary, died. 1642, Charles I of England erected the Royal Standard at Nottingham. It was supposed equivalent to a declaration of hostilities. 1650, Eusebius Andrews, an English barrister, and colonel in the army of Charles I, beheaded by Cromwell. 1651, Christopher Love was beheaded at Tower Hill. His offense was a desire to restore monarchy, that Presbyterianism might succeed. 1711, an expedition from New England against Quebec, frustrated by the loss of a number of transports among the rocks, at midnight, about 9 miles up Canada River. About 1,000 men perished. 1711, Louis Francis de Boufflers, a distinguished French military character, died. He was opposed to Prince Eugene, and celebrated for his defense of Lille. 1739, James Vanier died, a French Jesuit and famous Latin poet. 1752, William Whiston, an eminent English divine, died. He was also a mathematician, and succeeded Sir Isaac Newton as professor of mathematics at Cambridge. 1766, Philip Carteret sailed from England in the sloop of war Swallow, on his voyage round the world, in company with Captain Wallis in the Dolphin. Company April 10, 1767. The latter returned in 1768, the former March 20, 1769. 1773, George Lyttelton, an elegant English poet, historian and miscellaneous writer, died. 1776, the British troops, 24,000, under Lord and Sir William Howe, landed on Long Island, between Gravesend and Utrecht. 1777, the siege of Fort Stanwix raised by St. Leger, who retreated in great confusion, losing his tents, most of his artillery and stores. 1777, an unsuccessful attempt was made by General Sullivan and Colonel Ogden on Staten Island. The latter took 130 privates and some officers, burned a magazine of hay and 7 vessels, and destroyed some stores, etc. The general deviated from his original plan, whence his enterprise was not so completely successful. 1778, Count d'Estaing sailed from Newport for Boston, which compelled General Sullivan to raise the siege of Newport and fall back. 2,000 or 3,000 volunteers having left him in consequence. 1779, General Williamson and Colonel Pickens entered the Indian country, and burned about 50,000 bushels of corn in 8 of their towns. 1779, Charles Clerke, the English circumnavigator, died of consumption off Kamchatka, and was buried at Paradouanka. He had but a short time previous succeeded Captain Cook in the command of the expedition. 1792, Longueroy, in France, captured by Glerfait, with 3,500 troops and 71 cannon. 1795, French Convention adopted a new constitution, by which a council of 500 was established, and a council of ancients consisting of 250. 1798, the French under General Humbert landed in Ireland and took possession of Killala. 18th. 1808, armistice signed by the French General Junot and Sir Arthur Wellesley, by which the French agreed to evacuate Portugal. 1814, the inhabitants of Nantucket declared themselves neutral, under the protection of England. Same day 27 sail of square-rigged British vessels arrived at Benedict. Commodore Barney, in conformity to his orders, blew up his flotilla and retreated to Nottingham. The British landed and marched to Marlborough. 1818, Warren Hastings, an English statesman and scholar, died. He was employed in the service of the East India Company, and by oppression and injustice raised the revenue of the company from £3 to £5 million. 1826, a barge belonging to B.J.'s expedition reached longitude 156 degrees 21 west. Here they were embedded in ice some days, and were about to abandon the bark, and return on foot 120 miles, to the ship, when it was fortunately extricated, and made sail to rejoin the ship. 1828, Franz Joseph Gall, founder of the science of phrenology, died at Paris, aged 71. His works are voluminous. His style is characterized as vivid and powerful, his description as accurate and striking, and he may be looked upon as one of the most remarkable men of his age. 1848, the railroad train made the transit from Springfield to Hartford, 26 miles, in 33 minutes. 1849, the fortress of Moulton was destroyed by a freshet, remaining an island of mud in an expanse of waters. 1849, a convention called the Peace Congress, opened its sittings at Paris. 1849, Venice capitulated to Marshal Radetsky. 1850, Nathaniel Berry died at Gardner, Maine, aged 94. A member of Washington's Life Guard. 1851, the American yacht America, at the regatta at Cowes, England, won the Cup of All Nations. 1852, Nies Munson, the oldest graduate of Yale College, died at New Haven, aged 89. He was an assistant surgeon in the War of the Revolution, afterwards became a merchant, and for a long period was president successively of several banks. 1853, Pietro Bacci, a Sicilian exile, died at Boston, aged 66. Being implicated in Murat's attempt to reascend the throne in 1815, he was banished, and arrived in America in 1825. He was highly accomplished in ancient and modern languages, and became an instructor of Italian in Harvard College.